enjoying but drifting away. Srila Prabhupada states a little bit later in the purport, he's attached to family, home, place, his country. He's on the platform of the skin disease. And so time that takes everything away from us. So this attachment to the body, the place, the country of birth, the friends and families of this material world, it ultimately causes us a great level of perplexity. The attachment to sense gratification itself, Krishna speaks about this later in the second chapter in 62, how one goes through that process of becoming completely perplexed in life. Where is it, if I can bring that up? So Krishna says, when contemplating the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So, in this material world, the desire for enjoyment, the desire for this happiness, this causes us a great level of perplexities because it's like a mirage in the desert. You're running after something that's not there. You could say, like we've heard in the past from our spiritual master, is there like a drop of water? There may be a drop of water, one drop in the desert. So you may say, yes, there's water there. But just like a person in the desert, he's delusional. You know, when you start to not get enough food and enough water, you become delusional. So you start to see things. You start to see nice islands in the distance, and you start to see water, and okay, I'm going to chase after that. So one chases after there. When he gets there, what is it? He's perplexed. Oh, I was convinced this was the right thing to do. I was convinced this was the goal of my life. I was convinced that this would bring me a great level of satisfaction. But the nature of material life, the nature of this material world is that there's actually nothing there. It's just, what is the flower in the sky sometimes? It's just, you see it, it looks wonderful, it sounds wonderful, but you get there and actually nothing is there. So this is the position of a miser. Why? Because he's illusioned. Because he's actually in this material world. We're greatly thirsty and hungry for that happiness because we're not getting it. It's a desert. It's a desert. It's a desert it's an unnatural existence for the living entity in this world. So in every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a spiritual master. We'll come to that. But Srila Prabhupada in the purport here, expanding on those things, he says that the main problem is that people don't actually know what the problem is. That's the main problem. The problem isn't that we know the solution, but we don't know how to get there. The problem is that nobody knows what the problem is. People are thinking, oh, what is the problem? Well, the environment is a problem. Well, the whales are dying off is the problem. The rhinos are dying off is a problem. The children are hungry is a problem. These are all external. These are not the real problems of life. These are another level of perplexities. This is another more perplexities of this material world, that one tries to solve those and he becomes more perplexed. You think by saving the whales, the world will become a better place. Well, once you die, the whales will get killed off. You can protect the whales for some time. Once you leave your body, finished. They're all gone. You can protect the environment for some time. But once, again, the industries are already taken over. How much can you do? It's already damaged. How much can you do? The more you try to help, okay, and there's so many people in this world who want to do charity work and they try so hard, and ultimately I tried so hard, nothing happened. Like Gandhi. Gandhi is such a good example of this. He's trying so hard to establish peace, no violence. But he himself was killed with violence. Prabhupada said, look at this fool. This person, his philosophy was no violence, but he was killed. Perplexed. Gandhi, even one of the, he even commented on the Bhagavad Gita. What a great personality. And, everybody is seeing him as such a sadhu. But he was perplexed. Why was he perplexed? Because he did not understand the real problem of life, which the Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about. In the 7th canto, it's very, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, the real problems like birth, death, old age, and disease. Srimad Bhagavatam emphasizes on this more. 7.737, the real problem of life is the repetition of birth and death, which is like a wheel rolling repeatedly up and down. This wheel, however, completely stops when one is in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, by the transcendental bliss realized from constant engagement in devotional service, one is completely liberated from material existence. All learned men know this. Therefore, my dear friends, O son of Asuras, immediately begin meditating upon and worshipping the Super Soul within everyone's heart. So, what is this material world, this repetition of birth and death? What does it present us with? And so, therefore, in the 6th chapter, it's explained that endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed, for they result in a loss of time and energy with no actual profit. Therefore, we're going cycles of birth and death. We're not making any profit. We're just trying to enjoy. But that desire for enjoyment carries us from one birth to another. Constantly perplexed at every moment, at every stage of our lives, not knowing what's going on. And because of the illusory nature, we think we know what's going on. Just like the person who's stuck in the desert thinks, I know exactly that water is there and that island is there and I can go and enjoy there. He has convinced himself that this is right. This is our position. This is the position that Arjuna has taken. That I will not fight, O Arjuna. Here's the 4 reasons that I will not fight. A woman will become degraded, will incur sin. The compassion will be lost. Will not be able to enjoy the kingdom, neither will they be able to enjoy the kingdom. Arjuna makes very dharmic, on the basis of dharma, he makes the excuses not to fight on the battlefield. And they're all bona fide dharmic principles that he's speaking about. But still, he's under illusion, considered under illusion. How he's speaking. Because why? Prabhupada said, because he chose not to fight under the bodily conception of life. He is not performing his duty in the bodily conception. He's trying to, in the bodily conception of life, he's becoming completely perplexed. Prabhupada makes that point here. Well, he's a miser. He's miserly who does not solve the problems of life as a human and who thus quits this world like cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. So we must understand this very key point. What is the problem? Everybody is trying to solve a problem. And that's what human beings do. That's the human form of life is meant for that. As it is being stated here, to solve problems. The animals don't really care. The bird has a problem, just fly somewhere else, build a nest somewhere else, whatever. In one sense, that is the solving of their problem. But they don't care so much. They just want to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. That's all they care about. As long as those things are fulfilled, they are happy. That is their nature of their existence in their position of suffering. They don't care. They're in ignorance. But the human being, his position is not like that. His position is not like that of an animal, cats and dogs. He has the ability to solve problems with his intelligence, proper inquiry. And that inquiry specifically is being mentioned for self-realization, centered around self-realization. Why? Because at that point, that perplexity is removed, that one is no longer confused. He is completely clear in his understanding of life. In that position, he derives, as here it says that one who just endeavors for material happiness through economic development or any his sense gratification is not only result only in the loss of time and energy with no actual profit. If one endeavors are directed towards Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain the spiritual platform of self-realization. There is no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development. There's no benefit at all. There's nothing you can gain. Why? Because everything at death will be taken away from you. What did you gain? What did you gain? What is the point? Therefore, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita later to Arjuna, one who is intelligent, he does not mourn for the dead or the living. One who is intelligent. Why? Because he understands, I am the soul, I am not this body. Although the body is moving on, actually the soul is going on. Although the body is dead, the soul is going on. And therefore, an intelligent person does not act on the platform of the body. He does not endeavor to make profit on the level of the body. There's no use. What is the use in trying to attain $1 million in your dream? Even if you did it, what is the use? Everything is taken away when you get up. Everything is taken away from us. The name, the fame, the adoration, the sex, the woman, the kids, everything is finished. Like that, it can happen right now. Who's to say it's going to happen in 60 years? You can walk out of this room and it can happen right now. Therefore, Bhagavatam says this human form of life is very important. Do not waste any time right now, not tomorrow, not in a year, not in a few years, not in a month. Right now, do it. Make a decision to make that the goal of your life. Krishna consciousness. Why? Because you can die at any moment. You have no idea. We have no idea how close death is. And this human form of life is very rarely obtained. It is not easy to get. Please understand this point. It is not easy. So the most valuable thing we have in this world is our time. Is our time. It's not the money. Nobody gives a damn about money. We don't care about money. No, it's not the money. It's not the education. None of these things. It's time. How are we going to utilize that time? What are we going to use it for? In those things that give us no profit, of no value? Loss of time. What does it say here? It says, they result in only a loss of time and energy. Our energy is directed in, therefore, tivrena bhakti yogena. Put all that energy towards one point, with one pointed attention. Towards what? Towards bhakti yogena, performing bhakti. So when one comes to this platform on realizing this point, it's very difficult to realize. It's not easy. It's not, we're saying this, and the Bhagavatam is saying this, but although it's very strong, the illusion is also very strong. The nature to go, okay, human life is very important. Sometimes we have that realization. You see death before your eyes, and you realize, okay, I have to make an endeavor. Even like my spiritual master makes this point a lot. You go to India, it's more seen in India. You see ghats, these burning places all the time. Your own family member may die. Even in the street, you may see someone die. And you think for a second, wow, life is so tough. Life is so short. Anybody can go at any moment. Your family members may leave. You see them, you burn the body, and it's quite grave, and you realize, oh, human life is so, what is that word that's used? Fragile? Fickle. Futile? Fleeting. Human life, it can be over very fast. So people come to like a little bit of, okay, I should do something useful with my life, but they do not know what to do. Or they may think like that for a little bit, death is coming for everyone. But then tomorrow comes, and then a week goes by, and then you forget about death. One forgets about the real problems of life because of the bodily conception of life. He involves in these small problems that distract us away from the real goal. Small problems, the food problem, or the hunger problem, the economic problem, the sense gratification problem. But the fool does not understand that when he takes proper guidance and actually goes to the proper reservoir of water, he becomes completely satisfied, whatever, economically, in terms of happiness, in terms of all these things, he becomes completely fulfilled. He doesn't have to endeavor for that separately. Therefore, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena is not saying, drop everything, you'll become homeless, you'll become completely deprived of food, you'll become completely, useless in society, and just perform bhakti. No, why is it saying that? Because bhakti itself, the performance of bhakti to the to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it endows one with everything that is required in this human life. Just like Prabhupada would often say, Krishna is providing all these living entities who are not working jobs, all these things with such nice situations. They're living on, going on, that Krishna won't provide for his devotees. Of course he will provide. So the miser, his intelligence is covered by ignorance. Therefore, the verse we read yesterday, cut through the binding knot of material existence with the sword of knowledge. Cut through this ignorance, stand up or fight armed with the sword of yoga or Arjuna. Krishna is saying like this. Armed with knowledge. Where do we get that knowledge? Where do we get that knowledge of what is the real problem of life? The spiritual master endows upon that upon the disciple. How does that verse start in the 4th chapter? Tatvidi pranipatina pariprashnina seve upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. One of the central principles of the Bhagavad Gita. It begins with that and it ends with that. This is a very central principle. It begins with inquiry and ends with the instructions of the spiritual master. Sarva dharma paritaja mamekam sharanam vraja. So, one approach is the spiritual master. Because one cannot get himself. The Bhagavatam gives an example of a silkworm that creates a cocoon. And he traps himself in there. And its own material, its own activities causes its own death. So, but when the spiritual master comes, because he's above all that things, he's different from it. Just like when there's a web and a fly is stuck in there, and the more it struggles, the more it gets bound up. But if someone comes and just takes it out, and then it flies off free again. The spiritual master comes and he takes us out from this ocean of birth and death. He gives us the knowledge by which we can transcend, as Srimad Bhagavatam describes, that the spiritual master, he is the captain of the ship, this body is the boat, and the Vedas are the winds, favorable winds, by which one crosses over, tirthakara, he crosses over this material existence. With the help of the sadhu, with the help of the spiritual master. And the spiritual master, what does he give? He gives that intelligence by which he can start to see clearly what is matter, what is spirit, who is the controller of both. So what happens in that process? He does not become a kripana. He stops wasting his time being overly affectionate for family, society, all this. Affection is there with a proper conception of family life in Krishna consciousness. But this idea that, Arjuna is what's interesting. I was thinking about this, is like, considering my own life, and I'm sure some of us, we always consider this. In Arjuna, he is defending himself from not submitting to his duty by making religious arguments. We tend to make arguments that are adharmic in order to not submit to Krishna. I just saw the very big distinction between how there's a person in Vedic society or a person in considering Vedic principles and religious principles compared to us. What about when you start to take up Krishna consciousness? What about sex? I can't have sex anymore. I don't know if I can give that up. What about doing this? What about doing that? For me, was a big one. What about? I used to watch like 3 movies a day, every day. I'm dead serious. Through my whole high school, for 4 years straight, I was watching 3 movies every night. I don't know how I managed to get through high school, but I did it. So those things which are actually the cause of our perplexities become the same source of our excuses why not to get out of those perplexities. It's like Guru Maharaj was making that point in that other, we've made this point so many times, that we are fearful to get out of our fearful situation, even though there is guarantee there. So So Prabhupada is making that point here that the Kripana, he thinks he's able to protect his families. He thinks he's the controller. But actually we have no control over anything. Anybody can be taken away at any point. Therefore, instead of seeing oneself as the protector, one starts to see Krishna as the protector. So this attachment to family, home, family, friends, whatever our old habits, they are very difficult to give up, yes, because of deep rooted attachment. But by the process of Krishna consciousness, the process of self-realization, it gives one great level of strength. The process of bhakti yoga, it gives one jnana and vairagya, these two things. It gives one knowledge and the ability to renounce. So it requires the practice. So therefore one approaches the spiritual master, and the spiritual master advises the disciple. As mentioned here, no more friendly talks. Arjuna is saying, no more friendly talks. Forget the friendly talks, let's get serious. Because why is Prabhupada stating that here? Arjuna and Krishna are cousins, and often growing up, as he says later, Yadava or Madhava, we said so many names like this to you. But I won't stop all these things. Let's get serious. I'm perplexed. Oh Krishna, you are the spiritual master. You advise me. Now I'm giving myself. I understand this is what I should do. So he is ready. He's ready to take the instructions of the spiritual master very seriously. He's ready to open his eyes from ignorance. So one should take that position of Arjuna. One should read Bhagavad Gita. You can understand, when I read this Bhagavad Gita the first time, I realized, wow, that's exactly my position. I'm suffering just like Arjuna. Well, although probably we have understanding that Arjuna ultimately is a devotee and performing the pastime, but you can understand, wow, this person is very close actually. He's closely taking my position of an ignorant person, how ignorant I am. Although there's a different situation going on, but the war is the same. We're at war against material nature. Our senses are constantly fighting with us. Our mind, our intelligence. So one takes that instruction from the spiritual master, which guides one across the ocean of material existence, and in the process, he learns to detach himself from that which distracts us from the goal of life, and that is very difficult to do. That requires strength, that requires intelligence, and that's what determines whether we get out or not. Do we want to continue being perplexed in our life? And those things that drag us down, friends, family, different things, they all drag us down, because if they're not ready to take up spiritual life, if they're not ready to follow the principles of spiritual life, the goal of human life, then that is not real friendship, as the Bhagavatam defines, as the Bhagavad Gita defines, as the Shastras define. Real benefit of the soul is required. On this platform, anyways, it's all going to be over. And it's only how long our friends are going to be friends until we can satisfy them. As soon as we stop satisfying them, finished. What is a friend today becomes an enemy tomorrow. So, spiritual life means it takes real gravity. That's one quality of the devotee. It takes gravity, seriousness. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Let's get serious. No more joking around, no more fooling around. Maybe like this, maybe like this. No, here it is. Who is giving that? The spiritual master. Krishna is giving that. Here's absolute knowledge. Here's the way that you will actually get to a level of not having anxiety, not having all this depression, not having birth, death, old age and disease, which are the real problems. Not being distracted in this world. So one has to take knowledge from spiritual master. One has to take knowledge from that perfect person. Why is he perfect person? Because that spiritual master, he is taking knowledge from a perfect person. And that relationship is a loving relationship, as Krishna is saying here, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. the relationship of the disciple and the spiritual master is not just, I tell you what to do and you just do it and that's it. This is on the basis of love, as Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita. I am revealing this knowledge unto you. Why? Because you are not envious of me, O Arjuna. You are my friend, O Arjuna. So the disciple with the loving mood to the spiritual master, and the spiritual master with a loving mood towards the disciple instructs him. And love does not just mean, oh yeah, I'm just going to pat you on the back and how great you are and glorify you and wow, you're such an amazing person. Love means there is heaviness. Hard like a thunderbolt, soft like a rose. That is the nature of a Vaishnava or a guru. He's very strong, but his heart is very soft. So the spiritual master, he instructs the disciple according to what he needs to advance his spiritual life, not his material life. He gives that. He does not care about whether you give him money or you give him whatever, a good, comfortable situation. He doesn't care for that at all. He cares for the real welfare of the disciple. Therefore, therefore Krishna straight away chastises Arjuna. He says, you're like a woman. You're acting like a woman. What are you speaking? What is this? You're meant to be such a great person, but you're speaking like a low-class person. You're one of the greatest warriors. Everybody's looking up to you, but look at you. You're acting like a girl. You think when you walk away from this battlefield, everyone's going to go, Arjuna is such a righteous person. He's so compassionate. He's so religious. He walked away. You fool. Krishna calls Arjuna a fool. What is this? How has this impurities come upon you? You're meant to be intellectual. You're the Aryan. You're the Pandavas. So the duty of the spiritual master is to correct the disciple. As Srila Prabhupada says, our attitude in Krishna, advancement of our Krishna consciousness depends on our attitude. And the spiritual master, he corrects that attitude of the disciple. What is that attitude? That attitude is that selfishness of that sense gratification. Is he redirects that selfishness towards loving Krishna in every activity that the disciple performs, as we sing every morning. How the spiritual master engages the disciple in hearing and chanting, in deity worship, in prasadam. So this is the position of the spiritual master. It is not all love. It is not all nice, comfortable life. There is heaviness, and it is required, because just like when a kid is running off a roof, you're required to scream at the kid in order to stop him. You can't just be like, wait, don't go. Say, no, don't fall off the thing. He says, stop! Right? It's required. Otherwise, the kid falls off and dies. So the spiritual master is very vigilant in keeping the disciple in line. And the disciple, understanding that, the spiritual master is guiding him. He takes that submissive position with intelligence, not blind faith, and submits to the spiritual master, and he performs devotional service under the guidance. And as Arjuna states, now that all this ignorance is going, I'm ready to fight. Arjuna is ready to fight on the battlefield. So one should take this human form of life seriously. Should not be confused with what the real problem of life is. One should not be deviated from the real problem of life. He should be very inquisitive to understand that which is being hidden in this society of birth, death, old age, and disease. These things are the real core problem, and trying to solve that problem by approaching a spiritual master. So I'll end my class there. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Just got to connect it.
So, in 1.5.11, you have this famous verse, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplava. Yasmin Pratishlokam Abhaddhavatyapi Namanyanantasya Shonkitani Yat Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhavaha. The Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhavaha is what we could say as the motto of Krishna life. That's what we've taken out. Now, this verse is very interesting because in that verse, the Prabhupada translates sadhava as purified men. Sadhus are purified men who are honest. This is Prabhupada giving a purport in the translation. It's like you could just say sadhu is a saintly person. And the Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplava doesn't directly indicate a revolution. I mean, it does. Viplava does mean revolution. Definitely that is a bona fide meaning. But if one was to take a standard understanding of that verse, Agha Viplava means disturbance of sin. So Viplava, this word Viplava comes later in the 10th canto. And it's also translated as disturbance. So Janataga Viplava means the name, form, qualities, pastimes, glorification of the Supreme Personality of God. It destroys the sins of the living entities within the creation and is therefore sung, heard and accepted by saintly people. But Prabhupada takes that and speaks of how the Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't just liberate one from sinful activities, but is a complete transformation of one's entire impious life. This whole, Prabhupada translates here. He says that directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. This is a complete purport here because the sin is caused by people who are misdirected. Who are these people? Unfortunately, they are our countrymen. They are our, kinsmen. They are our friends. They are our family. They are our race. This is who that people is. Who is that people? It's not the people who live in Africa. It's not people who live in Tanzania or something like that. No. It's this misdirected civilization. Why misdirected? I mean, one look at what's going on yesterday says why it's misdirected. It's people who live that kind of lives, it's impossible that anything pious can happen. Anything auspicious can happen out of it. It is a charge of the highest speed towards the worst conditions of hell, that you don't have to go to hell. You literally created on this world by living in this way. And society is messed up. It's so messed up. And then people wonder why people end up killing each other and this and that, because they're completely mad. Why this madness? The education system is wrong. The outlook of life is wrong. The eating is wrong. What you consume is wrong. What you perform, your activity is all wrong. Who teaches us all these things? Unfortunately, if we are to be thoroughly honest, which is a tough thing to be, thoroughly honest, our parents are responsible. Our friends are responsible. Our kinsmen, our race, our ancestors. It's not a very enlightened society. It's actually a very confused society. Therefore, these books are there. You have to be thoroughly honest, and thoroughly honest is not because most people want to live lives of hypocrites. This is also being thoroughly honest. We ourselves, as we become purified in Krishna consciousness, we often fall into, sometimes when we get a little bewildered, we become hypocrites ourselves.
Yeah.
And then, other devotees, but what nonsense are you talking? This is weakness of heart. You're talking like a fool. And then, that's why in devotee association, this is pointed out. And relationships among devotees are based upon being thoroughly honest. Otherwise, if we're just glorifying each other,
amazing.
that's what you do outside.
Wonderful.
And you get cheated, and everybody ends up, and there's no auspiciousness in that. Ultimately, we are dissatisfied. Ultimately, we're suffering. But if we are thoroughly honest, then we take the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, then we hear, sung, and accept the name, fame, form, pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord, transcendental glories, the Supreme Lord. So I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. Really.
And hopefully at Krishna Life, we stick to that motto. It's easy to put a Sanskrit verse. To follow it is another thing.
Mm. That just coming to that level, it brings about a great level of, gravity, when you realize actually I'm suffering, like I'm trying so hard, but I'm actually suffering. My own experience, it's like, damn. And just being completely honest with myself, and just sitting with that and going, what am I going to do? Am I going to accept Krishna consciousness? Or am I going to try to continue enjoying?
Yeah, being thoroughly honest requires bravery.
And then making that decision to, be like, all right, you know what? What am I going to lose? I've already freaking lost so much time already, trying to enjoy, and it's just it's not there, obviously. And so either I continue doing that, or I go and try to be Krishna conscious. And it was a difficult period of my life doing that. It was 3-4 months of just complete mental breakdown, more or less. Just not knowing, because it's perplexities, just perplexed. What am I doing with my life? All that I've worked for the last, my whole high school area, now I'm in university, what am I doing? I look at everyone around me, everyone's miserable. I look at the people that I work in the jobs that I want to work. They look miserable. My parents are not happy. My friends are not happy. It's just what is going on? So it required a level of oh damn, okay, I have to make a change. And it didn't just mean, okay, I only make a change in a small part of my life. The nature of Krishna consciousness is okay, everything changes. It's oh God. So am I ready to now, at the age of whatever, it's 19, whatever, still young, but ready to just change my whole lifestyle? But I didn't have any other solution. It's I saw, okay, this is the only solution I see. And so it was Prabhupada saying the natural position is to try to solve that. But most people, they see that, but then somehow they're able to dive back into that and try to forget that suffering doesn't exist. So then it's just then it burns one over time. Even people still to this day, those people who've come through here, they call me every now and then and saying, you know what, yeah, this is I'm suffering, but I'm not able to do anything about it. I can't surrender to Krishna, and I can't get out of material life. I'm just gonna sit here. And every other month, it's they try. And then call me up, bro, I'm suffering, bro. It's just it's just I remember when I was there, what we do, we have some videos of some of those guys who are here. They give us feedback, and we just take that for online. And then we send that to them later. And when they message us saying, look, it's but look at the comparison of how you were when you're here. And they're bright-faced when they're speaking to the camera. And they can remember, they can start to see that. It's whoa, I was actually happy, yeah. Yeah, I was happy. Now it's just a situation where I'm what's going on with my life? Constantly. And all the people that I've who are all doing good, they're in universities. Most of the people that are coming here nowadays are from universities, doing high levels of whatever, Georgia Tech and UGA and different universities where they're doing good, but yeah, I get so many messages saying, yeah, it's just perplexed, but I can't do anything. So that honesty hasn't taken the position of actually going, okay, now let me do something about it. So therefore, still in the form of cats and dogs. Sorry, you have?
Yeah. So it's said that when endeavoring in temporary material affairs, because at the time of death, everything is lost. But one could say, well, I had good experience. So that is something I gained, is the experience of pleasure.
Where did it get you? Where did the experience get you?
Well, I remember and I can reminisce, and oh, it was a good time.
Exactly, you can only reminisce. I'm having a good time, you're just reminiscing.
Right.
So whose life is better? What did you gain? I'm actually having a good time. Still, like, okay, at the age of 50, okay, let's say, I have friends who are the same age as me, and now they're, continuing their life, trying to enjoy. At the age of 50, they can look back and they can reminisce about, oh, I had so many experiences. And I can sit here and go, but what are you talking about? I'm still experiencing. I'm still going on. My life is still blissful. It's more bliss.
Actually, this reminiscing
It's more miserable, yeah. Prabhupada says this. He says it becomes disillusioned at the end of life.
This reminiscing, my grandfather is 93 years old.
Yes.
No, he's 95, I think.
Oh my God.
I don't know how much, something 93, 95. Anyways, they'll get offended that I don't know his age. So, and because I haven't seen him because I haven't gone to India, I haven't seen him in so many years. And that's all he does. In the past, I was like this, and my babies were like that, and my brothers were like this, and my house was like that, and it is so miserable because his body is falling apart. Nobody cares about him. He's ignored. I mean, they care, but they don't care to the extent that he wants them to care. I mean, because they all have their lives. They all have something going on, and he's basically fading away into the darkness, and he's like, no, but I was the center of this for everyone, in my family, and now I'm just fading away in the corner in the closet. And it's like, what do you want to do? I mean, I have so much experience. I have so many things. But the thing is, in many ways, his experience is, it's 60 years old at best.
It's not valid.
It's outdated. It doesn't matter anymore. Things have changed so much in the world that, his experience and even many times his advice as far as practical things and material things go, they're not relevant anymore. And many times he's not even coherent in his thought because he's old, he's senile, he's like, and it's so hard. He can't hear properly, it's just, and after all those years, he failed to become spiritual. If he was spiritual, he would be so respected because he would show clear signs of detachment. He would show signs of spiritual wisdom, and he would show signs of someone who is going to attain an auspicious destination after his death. But now he's just some annoying old man. And he has so much experience, but he's so much more miserable than a child who doesn't have any experience. It's actually worse. All that experience, it just makes you even worse. And then when they see someone, this is the thing, they're old, and when they see their own grandchildren or great-grandchildren enjoying, to some extent they actually become envious. They become envious. I cannot enjoy. You're not sending his grandson is enjoying in Germany, whatever. He's going on a vacation, and he is sending on the WhatsApp group. You don't send me any photos. You don't care about me, dude. The guy is like enjoying, and he's like, at least can't you send me the photo? Because in his mind he's like, at least let me look at the photo and let me enjoy. Suffering, so much suffering, my God. Because he never learned that there is no enjoyment there. He went to Singapore, he went to the United States, which, I mean, listen, for that age, for an Indian to go to the United States, something. Yet so many old men of his age never went to the United States, but his heart is not satisfied because there is no satisfaction in material enjoyment. Anyways, Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada makes that point. He mentions specific word, disillusioned. That one can only enjoy, specifically says in that purport, he says, one can only enjoy for a maximum of like 20 years to like a good capacity, with the age of 15 to 30. After that, it's all downhill. And then, it's just like imagine somebody constantly just taking money, your hard-earned money out of your bank account every day, just like for free. It's just like, give me all that money. Or when you lose $10, it's just like, oh damn, bro, like I lost $10, $20, $50. You lose $100. It's like I worked a whole day for that, and it's like in your mind. It's like, so imagine your body and your enjoyment being taken away from you as life goes on. It's like suffering. But for the devotee, it's just like Kamalini Mataji, It's just like, my God, what death comes, she's like, yeah, let me go. I don't want to go to the hospital. I just want to die right here. I'm good. She's not suffering. She's having a heart attack and she's not suffering. She's sitting in front of the deities and going, let me die. I don't want to go to the hospital. Just forget it. I want to go right now. I don't care.
I'm in front of the deities.
Yeah, I'm in front of the deities. I'll go back home back together. That's all. I know where I'm going. Finished. So it's just unimaginable for the karmi of this. It's like their goal of life is this actually, the karmis. I want so many experiences. Perplexities at every moment. Perplexed at every moment. So yeah, it's a bad situation actually. There's no good in it. Material life stinks. There's that lecture. It's every corner is just like horrible. What the heck what is the use of it? You have something to say? Anything else? Anyone else? Questions? Janardhan, Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
It's nice to have him back. We're going to get some extra cakes and cookies.
In the purport, it talks about how by the mercy of the spiritual master, the disciple is able to understand everything. Does this mean that because the guru gives the disciple Krishna, therefore everything he needs to know is already satisfied because he has Krishna? Or is it like he's able to understand anything that's possible in like the material sphere?
It's that what is all knowledge specifically means knowledge of who we are and what our relationship with Krishna is. That is considered all knowledge, because that's actually ultimately all you need to know. What is the use of knowing things that are just so like come in and out? It's like he said, his grandpa may know so many things from 60 years ago. What the heck is the use of it now? So whatever you learn, ultimately, actually, there's, as Prabhupada says, in the purport, it says, there's no profit of it. So there's no even point of learning it, even, But real knowledge, devotee knows many things, but it doesn't mean that full knowledge, he knows everything, means like, he knows maths and quantum mechanics and chemistry and all these things. Yeah, he may not know those things, but you may know those things, but what's the use of it? What's the actual use of it? So the devotee or the person who's full of knowledge means that he's completely in knowledge of his relationship with Krishna and performing that relation, that loving service with Krishna. So that is the all knowledge aspect of the jiva. Yeah, good.
When it comes to relationships with devotees, how can you tell actual practical examples of whether your relationship with them is a material attachment or a spiritual attachment?
That's a very good question. So it depends. It's just like if you're getting together with another devotee and all you're doing is watching movies and playing video games and going out and then doing kirtan on the side here and there, or even if those are all mixed together, you do kirtan for some time, watch movies for some time, this is material. Because it's like there's a great dependence on sense gratification in order for that relationship to exist. And as soon as that is the basis of a relationship, it's completely material. Temporary. So material means temporary, so that relationship won't last when it's based on the material realm, because at one point, his level of satisfaction with that one thing is going to be finished. He'll become frustrated with that, and he'll want to do something else. Or he may change his flavor of sense gratification, and that's not your flavor. So then it's split. So material. Whereas Krishna consciousness is centered on Krishna. So you may be doing a different service to what I do, right? Just like you are most of the time, and everybody in this room does different services and has different likings within devotional service. But why is it that that friendship remains? Why is it that there's love, that dadati pratigranati guhyamakiti prachati bhungte bhajete chaiva sadvidam prati lakshanam? How is it that all these things are there amongst devotees? Because they're centered on Krishna. Whether, for a particular devotee, a particular service, he relishes doing that. And another devotee relishes another service, but they can come together and even relish how each devotee is relishing their own services. Just like we can relish how the Sankirtan devotees are distributing so many hundreds of and thousands of books every day. We can relish that. Even though some of us may not be directly engaged in it, some of us may be more inclined towards cooking or towards doing different activities within the temple, all centered around book distribution and Harinam and the Sankirtan movement. But we can relish that, not envious, right? Whereas, like you were saying, even when we see others enjoy more, we become envious of them. So it's important, and so that's how you distinguish. And simple principle is there from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That which is directed towards the self is called lust. That which is directed towards Krishna is called love. So even between devotees, when it's directed towards enjoying ourselves, then that's material lust. So then when we're centered around selflessly serving Krishna, that's real love. So yeah, that's the basis of that. Anything else? Tai. You had something? No? Good.
The point he was making about the point you was making about the disciple knows everything, and I like how Prabhupada disciple when the guru is the guru is everything. I just like the point where the Prabhupada disciples was building Rath Yatra cars, and they didn't know anything how to do it, and they drew paintings, they didn't know how to do it, but just by doing the service, everything was really.
Krishna gives intelligence. I've seen that so many times. Just the fact that one is dedicated to the instructions of the spiritual master, one is endowed with all knowledge. What is that verse? How does that come? That when one is surrendered unto the spiritual master, all the knowledge of the Vedas are endowed upon him. Asya devi para bhakti ta devi tato guru tasyati katitayi artha prakashanti mahatmanaha. Unto those great souls who are fully surrendered to the spiritual master, all the imports of the Vedic knowledge is they get that. So when one is surrendered to the spiritual master, he can cross mountains. Lame man can cross mountains. And what is the other one? And the dumb man can speak very eloquently. So by the mercy of the spiritual master, anything and everything is possible. Therefore, Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Why? Because just by dedication to the spiritual master, one can overcome that easily. By remembering Guru, Vaishnava and Bhagavan, all the difficulties are removed, and one real desire becomes fulfilled. Okay, so Kalki Prabhu, your hands.
Another answer to Janona's question, but just about relationships being material or spiritual. I mean, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's the example, Prabhupada gives the example with Kubja and Krishna. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Prabhupada mentions that she almost had was material lust that she wanted to enjoy with Krishna. I mean, ultimately he purified her, but anyways, it's even with Krishna that there can be that material aspect there. So.
Okay, Mataji, do you have anything at all? Okay, all right. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki